Hey, everyone. Have you ever wondered why a matchstick doesn't actually catch fire until you aggressively strike it? Or, why food cooks so much faster when you crank up the heat?
Well, the secret actually lies in millions of tiny, microscopic molecular collisions happening every single second. Today, we're going to completely demystify collision theory. It is literally the absolute foundation of chemical kinetics.
I mean, it kind of seems like simple, everyday stuff, right? But to understand why these things actually happen, we've got to zoom way, way down.
Exactly. We need to look at the invisible microworld to see the molecular impacts that actually trigger a chemical reaction. It's wild stuff.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're hitting the secrets of reactions, anatomy of a collision, the activation energy barrier, rate factors, the magic of catalysts, and finally, our exam focus. We've distilled exactly what you need to crush your competitive exams into this quick journey, so let's get moving. Jumping right into Section 1, Secrets of Reactions, and why molecules absolutely must collide. So at its core, chemistry is really just about breaking old bonds and forming new ones, right? It's kind of like the universe's ultimate recycling program. But to pull that off, reactant molecules actually have to physically interact. They can't just politely wave at each other from across the beaker.
Right, and that brings us to the absolute baseline rule of today: no collision equals no reaction. You can have all the most reactive chemicals in the world sitting in the exact same container, but if they're kept entirely apart, you're going to get zero products. They literally have to crash into each other.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, Anatomy of a Collision, successful versus unsuccessful. Because, as you're going to see, just casually bumping into each other isn't nearly enough. Okay, picture this. Think about two cars approaching an intersection. What do you predict happens if they just barely tap bumpers?
Not much, right? Maybe a tiny little scratch. That right there is an unsuccessful collision. The molecules hit, sure, but maybe they lack energy or they hit at a totally weird angle. They just bounce off, boom. No reaction.
But then imagine a successful collision. It's like a massive, high-impact car crash. They hit with a ton of energy, and their orientation is dead on. Only then do the old bonds shatter and new products form. Literally, only successful collisions actually drive the reaction forward. All right, if you're taking notes for your exams, and you definitely should be, write these 3 strict, non-negotiable criteria down right now. Step 1, molecules must collide. Step 2, they must possess sufficient energy, and step 3, they must have the proper orientation.
Exactly. Missing even one of those steps, you just get an unsuccessful bounce. It's a super strict checklist that nature demands before it allows any reaction to happen.
Moving on to Section 3, the activation energy barrier. So we keep saying molecules need quote-unquote sufficient energy. In chemistry, we call this hurdle the activation energy, or EA for short. It's simply the absolute minimum energy required for reactants to actually transform into products.
Think of it like riding a bicycle up a seriously steep hill. If you don't pedal hard enough to build up enough kinetic energy, what happens? You're just going to roll right back down. You got to overcome that initial steep hill to coast down the other side. That massive hill, that's your activation energy.
Let's map out that crazy bicycle ride. Step 1 is you at the bottom, right? Those are the reactants. Step 3 is your final destination, the products. But step 2, right up there at the very peak of the hill, is what we call the activated complex, or the transition state.
And what's super fascinating here is that this activated complex is incredibly unstable. It only exists for a tiny fraction of a second. It's this bizarre, temporary state where the old bonds are halfway broken and the new ones are halfway formed. From that peak, it either falls forward to finally become products, or it just rolls backwards into reactants.
Okay, let's pause for a second and burn this quote right into our brains. Reaction rate is proportional to number of successful collisions.
Yes, I'm going to say it one more time because it's that important. Reaction rate is proportional to the number of successful collisions. This is the golden rule of collision theory, folks. If you want a faster reaction, you just need to create more successful collisions every single second. It's literally that simple.
All right, Section 4, factors affecting reaction rates. Since the golden rule demands more successful collisions, how do chemists actually hack the system? Let's rapid fire through the cheat codes. First up, concentration. Think of a crowded room. If you pack 100 people into a tiny space, they're going to bump into each other way more than if there were only 10. More molecules equals more collisions equals a much faster reaction.
Spot on. Next is temperature.
I mean, why does milk spoil so fast in the summer? Heat makes molecules move faster. They've got more kinetic energy, meaning they hit each other more often and way harder. They easily clear that activation energy hill.
Then we have surface area. Ever wonder why powdered sugar dissolves instantly, but a solid sugar cube takes forever? The powder exposes way more surface area to the water. More exposed area simply equals more chances for a collision.
And finally, pressure, which is mainly for gases. Compressing a gas is basically like increasing concentration. You're squeezing the exact same amount of gas into a much tighter space. Boom, more collisions, faster reaction.
Which brings us to Section 5, the magic of catalysts.
Okay, so a normal chemical pathway forces molecules to climb that massive activation energy hill. Because it's so incredibly high, very few of our metaphorical bicycles actually make it over. But a catalyst? A catalyst essentially digs a chemical tunnel straight through the mountain. It provides an entirely alternative pathway with a dramatically lower activation energy. Because the barrier is suddenly so low, way more molecules have enough energy to just breeze right across, resulting in a massively accelerated reaction rate.
A really classic textbook example of this is the decomposition of hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. On its own, it's pretty slow. But add just a tiny little pinch of manganese dioxide as a catalyst, the reaction speeds up incredibly, just bubbling furiously. And hey, it's not just happening in laboratory test tubes. Your own body does this every single second. Biological systems use special proteins called enzymes. Enzymes are basically just nature's organic catalysts, keeping you alive by instantly lowering the activation energy for all your vital cellular processes. How cool is that?
All right, home stretch, Section 6, exam focus and final review.
Listen up, because this is where we secure those crucial marks for your CBSE, JEE, or NEET papers. Trap number 1, thinking that all collisions cause reactions. False. Only successful collisions with sufficient energy and correct orientation cause reactions. Do not fall for this in your multiple choice questions.
Absolutely. Trap number 2, forgetting about orientation entirely. Students love to hyperfocus on energy, but if molecules hit backward, they're just gonna bounce. Proper orientation is absolutely mandatory.
And trap number 3, confusing activation energy with the overall energy change of the reaction. Remember, activation energy is strictly that initial minimum hurdle. It's the toll gate you have to pay just to start the reaction. It is not the total energy difference between reactants and products. Keep those concepts strictly separate.
Okay, let's lock this all in with a rapid-fire revision. Bullet 1, successful collisions drive the reaction rate. The more you have, the faster things go. Bullet 2, activation energy, or EA, is your absolute minimum energy hurdle. Bullet 3, you can totally manipulate that collision frequency by tweaking concentration, temperature, surface area, or pressure. And bullet 4, catalysts are your ultimate chemical shortcuts. They speed things up by physically lowering that EA hurdle. And honestly, that is the entire core logic of collision theory summarized in a nutshell.
So, the next time you strike a match, remember, you aren't just magically creating fire out of nowhere. You're initiating billions of microscopic, high-speed collisions. If this video helped you understand collision theory, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends preparing for CBSE, JEE, and NEET. Comment below and tell us which chemistry topic you'd like us to explain next. Keep studying hard, and we'll see you next time.